Coming up,
Наша страна
our country occupies a special place in the forefront of the movement for a world without nuclear weapons. UNGA marked the 30th anniversary of Semipalatinsk's nuclear test site closure. Kazakh enterprise will assemble Baikal single-engine aircraft. Learn more from our exclusive material. Anti-COVID tomato. Innovators from neighboring Uzbekistan have developed an edible vaccine. Details next. Kazakhstan's anti-nuclear initiatives are an example for other countries. Indeed, the issue of building a world without nuclear weapons has not lost its relevance. 30 years ago, the country made a significant contribution to strengthening global security. This was discussed at the UN General Assembly in the US. The 12th plenary session was opened with a video address by the first president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev.
Наша страна имеет свое особое место в авангарде движения за мир без ядерного оружия.
Our country occupies a special place in the forefront of the movement for a world without nuclear weapons. Moreover, the desire to live without fear and with faith in the future of humanity has become an essential part of the national self-awareness of Kazakh citizens. Kazakhstan had an honorable mission to show all countries that progress and prosperity can be achieved without nuclear muscles. Time has proved that we have correctly defined for ourselves the true strength and power of the new young state. I think that all of the above gives me the moral right to appeal to the global community with a call to follow our example and to use Kazakhstan's experience around the world.
Все вышесказанное дает мне моральное право обратиться к глобальному сообществу с призывом последовать нашему примеру, использовать казахстанский опыт во всем мире.
Representatives of delegations attending the traditional meeting stated that Kazakhstan's decision to close the Semey nuclear test site has been a significant historical event.
It is wonderful that the UN General Assembly today is having a dedicated session to celebrate the anniversary of the International Day Against Nuclear Testing. And the anniversary this time is most important for Kazakhstan in that it is 30 years since the first President Nazarbayev took the decision that the Semipalatinsk nuclear test site should be closed. That was a visionary decision.
A special photo exhibition dedicated to the Semey nuclear test site was also organized as part of the UN General Assembly. The exhibition features photographs which tell about nuclear tests at the test site, the history of the anti-nuclear movement Nevada Semey, and Kazakhstan's contribution to nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation. Kazakhstan can effectively cooperate with Armenia in the field of electricity. The corresponding amendments to the Treaty on the EAEU were adopted today in the Senate. Thus, Armenia joined the member states of the Eurasian Economic Union in cooperation in the field of electricity. Within the protocol, some changes were made to the methodology for interstate transmission of electricity, including tariff policy and pricing. The protocol has been approved by Armenia, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan, and Russia.
Заң қабылданды. Құрметті әріптестер.
The law has been passed. Dear colleagues, today electricity occupies a special place in building the potential of the economy. We hope that this law will have a positive impact on the development of cooperation in the energy sector of the member countries of the organization.
Саласындағы ынтымақтастығын дамытуға оң әсерін тигізеді деп сенеміз.
Kazakhstan intends to ship the first consignment of coal to neighboring Ukraine by the end of this week. This is more than 4,000 tons. According to Ukrainian media, imported coal from Kazakhstan, the United States and Poland, along with domestic mining, will allow the country to pass the heating season safely. In order to ensure stability of the Ukrainian energy system, we primarily use Ukrainian coal. Additionally, we are the first among the companies to start importing it in advance from Poland, the US and Kazakhstan, said Ildar Saleyev, Chief Executive Officer of the Ukrainian Energy Company. The World Health Organization team of experts will visit Kazakhstan. The team intends to check and analyze the production process of the QazVac domestic vaccine. The group is scheduled to arrive next week. This became known in Geneva at a meeting of Kazakh Ministry of Foreign Affairs with the WHO Director General. Mukhtar Tleuberdi informed Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus about the measures taken by the Kazakh government in the fight against coronavirus and about new messages from President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev to prevent further spread of the infection in the country. The head of WHO stressed that cooperation between Kazakhstan and the organization is at very high level.
Большой интерес у ВОЗ, конечно, вызывает разработка нашей национальной антикоронавирусной вакцины QazVac. Мы сейчас работаем с этой организацией.
WHO shows interest to the development and production of the domestic coronavirus vaccine QazVac. We are currently working with the organization to register the vaccine. There are, of course, certain issues about compliance with the conditions of the standards for the production of this vaccine. We understand that this will take some time, but technical support from the WHO Secretariat and our partners in this organization will facilitate its registration as well as Kazakhstan's opportunity to produce vaccine for domestic consumption and also help the world community in the fight against coronavirus.
Скорейшему ее регистрации и возможности Казахстана не только производить для внутреннего потребления, но и также помогать мировому сообществу в борьбе с коронавирусом.
WHO's position, as you may know, is to encourage countries to produce vaccines, and we advocate for local production. And very glad that Kazakhstan is producing its own vaccines. And one of the issues we discussed with His Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister, is on local production. And we will be sending a team next week to Kazakhstan.
Scientists from Uzbekistan have developed a coronavirus vaccine in the form of an edible tomato. As it turned out, the experts introduced the COVID-19 gene into the cells of cotton and tobacco as well. In this way, in their opinion, the transformation of plants takes place. Among them, tomatoes showed good results.
Клонировали S-белок, это часть коронавируса, и трансформировали помидор.
We cloned the S protein, which is a part of the coronavirus, and transformed it into a tomato. Why did we choose a tomato? Because you can eat it without cooking. And when you eat, it passes through the stomach into the intestines. The mucous membrane of our intestines contains many macrophages. They will absorb it, and an immune response will be developed.
В нашем кишечнике есть слизистая оболочка. Вот эта слизистая оболочка существует много макрофагов. Это макрофагов будет всасывать в себе, и начинается вырабатываться иммунный ответ.
It is too early to say whether the edible vaccine is highly effective and can be used in humans. The preclinical tests are now underway. All procedures are expected to take about 2-3 years to complete.
Как обычно, помидор будет расти. Процесс созревания до получения плода уходит 3 месяца. Сейчас очень много людей вопросы задают.
The tomato will grow as usual. The ripening process takes up to 3 months before the fruit is obtained. Now people are asking a lot of questions. They ask us how we are going to use it, if it's going to grow in the fields and if it's going to be harmful. But everything is going to be under control. We'll set up a special plantation. And when the first clinical trial takes place, we are going to determine the dosage on these plantations. That's how many tomatoes and in what period people will have to eat them. This dosage will be identified.
И с этих плантациях мы сейчас будем вырабатывать, когда клинические испытания, первые клинические испытания будут идти, дозу помидора. Сколько должно. Вот эта доза будет подбираться, сколько человек должен кушать и какие периоды.
Researchers from different countries are actively experimenting with edible vaccines. Russia and Canada are in the process of developing medicines based on dairy and oat products. However, they have not yet found widespread use. Up to 90% of roads of national significance will be renovated by the end of the year. This also applies to 80% of transport routes in the regions. Kazakh Vice Minister of Industry and Infrastructural Development Berik Kamaliyev spoke about this at a press briefing. According to him, currently construction works are covering 8,400 kilometers of roads. Among 15 major projects to be completed this year are the Karagandy-Balkhash, Kurty-Kapshagay, Taldyk-Organos-Kemen highways and other equally important routes. In 2021, the Usharal-Dostok road will also become available to drivers. This means that it will be easier for tourists to get to the resort area of Alakol. The Vice Minister also assured that the reconstruction of the road section in the Altyn-Orda district in Almaty will be completed next month. Car drivers will also be glad to have the news that the project on the Aktobe-Atarau-Astrakhan road is nearing completion. Earlier, in order to get, for example, to Atarau, Aktobe residents had to drive around 500 kilometers through Oral.
Высокое социальное значение влияет на транзит со стороны Средней Азии. Мы ведем там работу. В этом году планируем завершить основные работы. Строительные работы ведутся на всем протяжении.
Construction work is underway along the entire road. This year we will complete the Kandagash-Makat section and ensure the opening of traffic along the entire corridor with subsequent commissioning in 2023-2024.
В 2023 и 2024 году.
In 6 months, Kazakhstan will start producing Russian Baikal aircraft for domestic aviation. So far, aircraft is planned to be only assembled under the Kazakh aviation industry, but by 2024, the country will begin the design and its own production of these airliners. This was announced by Director General of the Aviation Administration of Kazakhstan, Peter Griffiths. Overall, over the next 3 years, the country intends to actively expand its national aircraft fleet, he noted.
Over the next 3 years, we have plans for 45 aircraft. So we have 51 aircraft operating scheduled commercial services. That's expected to rise at about 10% per year.
With the expansion of the aircraft fleet, the requirements for flight safety are also growing. In this regard, Kazakhstan exceeded the world average of compliance with ICAO international standards by 15%, reaching this summer, according to preliminary results of the audit, 84% indicator.
С начала 2021 года инспекторами авиационной администрации по части лётной.
Since the beginning of 2021, about 140 inspections have been carried out by the Aviation Administration inspectors regarding the airworthiness of aircraft. According to the results of these inspections, 1,500 issues were identified that were eliminated by aircraft operators. In 2021, flights resumed and accordingly, there were more requests from airlines. Since the beginning of 2021, about 122 certificates of aircraft airworthiness were issued.
Сертификатов лётной годности для воздушных судов.
High flight safety in Kazakhstan is confirmed by regular independent international inspections. Thus, this summer, by the decision of the European Commission, our country was not included in the blacklist of airlines, which are prohibited from flying to the EU countries, proving a strong impetus to the development of this industry. Exhibits that people can taste. Visitors of the Almaty Apple Museum can now get acquainted with the history of the origin of the fruit, as well as enjoy edible exhibits. The museum fund regularly receives crop from the pomological garden of the Kazakh Research Institute of Fruit and Vegetable Growing. Breeders are constantly working on the creation of new varieties of apples. They are bred on a hybrid basis. I would like to tell what characteristics are taken into account during the analysis of hybrid offspring. The first is winter hardiness, then early maturity, the form of the hybrid, the color of the hybrid, the keeping quality of the fruit, and of course the taste. Scientists of the Research Institute have already bred more than 100 varieties of apples, preserving their genetic fund. Many have successfully passed the test. 4 types of hybrid fruits were the first to ripen in the pomological garden this year. These are varieties of sweet and sour taste. Basically, you know, if acid prevails in European varieties and people like such fruits, but in our country people, even children, like sweeter varieties. They last longer. Also, scientists know that these varieties have more yield than the apart apples and give twice as much fruit. In addition, they are resistant to disease and can be stored longer than usual.